spongiosum that I showed you. Okay? So, 3 parts and 3 structures inside. Ductus deferens, I have already explained, that takes the sperm out, and that dissection of the ductus deferens or vas deferens is called vasectomy, that I have mentioned, which is 100% effective method of birth control. Okay? If you dissect, sperm will not be able to get out. It's very simple, right? Now the problem is sometimes it can happen if you just cut the tube and leave it there. Sometimes they may get joined again. When you cut the body, any tissue, there is a tendency, right, of getting back together. So that's why it's better you tie both ends, or cutter, cutter both ends, fuse both ends. That is safe. Okay? And this is a simple surgery. It's not difficult, but in some parts of the world, boys don't want to do that. Okay, and they want female to do, right? And that is more complicated surgery than the vasectomy. Okay? So, urethra, you already know, 3 parts: prostate part, membranous part, and spongy or penile. But these are 3 parts of male urethra. Male urethra is much longer than female. Male urethra has 3 parts. Inside the prostate is prostatic urethra. Membranous urethra is the part. So this is, you see, this is the ampulla of ductus deferens, right? The white part, then ejaculatory duct, then the urethra. And this part of urethra, first part, is inside the prostate. And that's why this part is called the prostatic urethra. Makes sense? It's about 2.5 centimeter long. Then, this part, the shortest part, middle part, is called the membranous urethra. Why? Because this is surrounded by urogenital diaphragm, a kind of membrane. Urogenital diaphragm. You know one diaphragm is here, right? All of you know. That helps in what? Breathing, right? That's a big diaphragm here, right? There is another diaphragm here, that is a smaller one and thin, that is called urogenital diaphragm. And inside the urogenital diaphragm, the part of urethra is called the membranous urethra. It is about 2 centimeter long, so short part. Then the part inside the penis, that's the longest part, and that is called spongy or penile urethra inside the penis. Okay? So those are 3 parts of the urethra. Prostate is located above or below the urinary bladder. What do you think? Below, right? So big structure is the bladder. It is under the urinary bladder. Okay? Sometimes, enlargement of prostate. Have you heard that? Prostate enlargement that occurs. That can do what? That can cause a problem. Because you see, if this prostate enlarges, that will press the urinary bladder from bottom. Make sense? From the bottom. And that may close the urethral opening. Right? So you have difficulty in urinate, right? Painful urination. That can happen. Glands in male reproductive system. 3 types of glands. Seminal vesicles, there are 2. Then prostate 1 and bulbourethral gland. So these two are seminal vesicles located beside the ampulla of ductus deferens. So this is one seminal vesicle, this is another. Okay. Seminal vesicles produce mainly semen. Seminal vesicles produce what? Semen, the fluid. And that fluid and sperm get together, okay? And that's how the sperm gets out with the fluid. So, seminal vesicles produce most of the fluid or semen. About 70% volume of semen is produced by seminal vesicles. So most of the semen comes from what? The seminal vesicles. Is it clear? How much? About 70%. And this fluid is slightly alkaline. Slightly alkaline. Then the prostate. Prostate is located inferior to the bladder that I have just mentioned, under the bladder, right? Or below the bladder. And the secretion, the prostatic fluid, is milky and slightly acidic. So just opposite of seminal fluid. Seminal fluid is slightly alkaline, but prostatic fluid is slightly what? Acidic. Is it clear? The prostatic fluid helps by activating the sperm that released from the seminiferous tubule, wall of the seminiferous tubule. That sperm is not yet active. Remember, that sperm is not yet active. So when the sperm gets mixed with the prostatic fluid, partial activation of sperm occurs. Make sense? So, prostatic fluid help to do what? Partially activate the sperm. Is it clear? I said partially, not fully, right? Yeah. So, remember, sperm get fully activated when it enters into female body, female reproductive system. Until then, it is partially activated. Make sense? And when it gets fully activated inside the female body, that is called capacitation. Capacitation is the full activation of the sperm. That means what? When we say fully activate,
Ready to go.
ready to go, ready to do what? Ready to
Impregnate.
fertilize the, yeah. Ready to fertilize the egg. Make sense? When I say active fully, that means it is ready to fertilize the ovum or egg. Make sense? Okay. Good. Okay. Now, vulvourethral glands. There are two very tiny glands in urogenital diaphragm. Now let's go back. You know this is the urogenital diaphragm. I just explained that. And inside the urogenital diaphragm, these tiny two pea-sized glands are vulvourethral glands. And these glands secrete mucus, slippery mucus. And that secretion is important to keep the wall of the urethra slippery. Make sense? Otherwise, friction will occur, right? It will be painful. So, to keep the wall of the urethra slippery, this secretion of vulvourethral gland is important. Okay? Mucus. So, those are three types of glands in male reproductive system. Now, spermatogenesis. you already know spermatogenesis occurs in the wall of the seminiferous tubule. So, how many of you remember near the outer part of the wall of the seminiferous tubules, what kind of cells are those? Think and tell me. The outer part. These cells are what kind of cells? Yeah, and what type of cells are these? Stem cells. Remember that?
Yes.
They do produce new cells by mitosis, right? That I mentioned. Okay, so good. So these cells divide by mitosis. Again, yeah. And then I told you what? This cell will go through changes, right?
Yeah,
And will become the mature sperm here. So, what are those stages of maturation? You see here. So, see, the top cells, those are the stem cells. Okay. I think I mentioned opposite. You correct in your note. These stem cells are spermatogonium or spermatogonium, plural. I said spermatozoa here, spermatogonium here. Okay, so change that, go back. Okay, sorry. So these are stem cells, spermatogonium. One singular is spermatogonium and gonia plural. And these are spermatozoa. Okay, the mature ones, just opposite. Okay, I mentioned the spermatozoa and then spermatogonium. It should be opposite. Okay, so in between these two, spermatogonia and spermatozoa, you have a number of steps during maturation. What are those steps? Spermatogonium become primary spermatocyte. Then they become secondary spermatocyte. Then they become early spermatid and late spermatid. And then the mature spermatozoa. Now one thing you see here. First, the stem cells, look at this top left, that is the spermatogonium, the stem cell, right? In the bracket you see. It divides by what? Mitosis, right? Into two. One will divide into two. Now see the chromosomes inside. 46 remains same, 2n. So you have 2n chromosomes here inside, and when mitosis occurs, the chromosome number remains same because we know mitosis keeps the chromosome same. Okay? Then what happens? Meiosis. And meiosis has two steps, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Another type of cell division. Remember, meiosis 1 reduces the number of chromosomes to what? Half, from 2n to 1n. Is it clear? So the number of chromosome is reduced to haploid or half number by meiosis 1. And then meiosis 2 will only divide the cell but keeps the chromosome same. So this is what happens, you see here. This is the spermatogonium stem cell 2n divides by mitosis, you already know, into 2, and the chromosomes remain what?
The same.
Same. Mitosis keeps the chromosome same. Just only increases the number. Makes sense? From 1 to 2 daughter cell. So that is mitosis. Then meiosis 1. Meiosis 1 will produce from 1 to 2, right? But here one thing important, what is that? The number of chromosome is reduced to half. Is it clear? Meiosis 1. Then meiosis 2 will divide but keeps the chromosomes same. Only meiosis 1 reduces the chromosomes to half. Is it clear? Okay. Now you tell me, this is meiosis 2.
So meiosis happens between.
So if I ask you, during spermatogenesis, production of mature sperm, which type of cell division occurs? Mitosis, meiosis, or both? Both, right? First, mitosis, that increases the number, but keeps the chromosomes same. Is it clear? Then meiosis, right? Meiosis reduces the number of chromosomes to half. Is it clear? Okay. Now you tell me, when both mitosis and meiosis are completed, how many cells we are getting? 4. New cells, number 1. Number 2, half number of chromosomes or haploid chromosomes. Okay. Now, why you need to reduce the number of chromosome in the sperm? All body cells you have 2n. All body cells you have what? 2n, right? Diploid. Why in the sperm you need half number of chromosomes, not full? Because sperm fertilizes the egg, right? Egg, when oogenesis will occur, that means egg will be produced. Also, the chromosome number will go down to half. Make sense? So, half from each parent. Make sense? From father, half in the sperm. From mother, half. When they will join together, that's the first cell of new life. Fertilized egg will have 2n, 1n from each parent. Make sense? That's why meiosis is very important, to reduce the number of chromosomes to half. Make sense? Now you tell me, after fertilization takes place, you got the first cell of new life, right? Fertilized egg has 2n, right? 1 from each parent. Now the body will be formed, embryo, right? By multiplication of that cell. The whole body will be formed. So which type of cell division will occur, mitosis or meiosis? Because I said to you that all body cells have 2n, right? So only mitosis will keep the chromosome number same, right? Meiosis should not occur. That will reduce the number of chromosomes in the body cells. We don't want that. Okay, so only meiosis takes place during spermatogenesis and oogenesis to reduce the number of chromosomes. Is that clear?
Is it only meiosis does?
Only meiosis. Meiosis only occurs during the formation of what? Sperm and egg, ovum, right? Makes sense, right? To reduce the number of chromosomes. Okay. Now, so let's go back again. Spermatogonium, the stem cells by mitosis divides into 2. Now, one thing you see here. By mitosis, the stem cell produces 2. One will remain there and one will produce the sperm. One will remain there as stem cell. Make sense? To continue producing new cells. One will produce sperm, 4 sperm from one. Okay. Now, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, early spermatid. When early spermatid stage becomes late spermatid, in this part you see some configuration change take place. Change of the shape. The cell becomes elongated and gets a head, body or midpiece and a tail. So you see here, this is the head, this is the midpiece and this is the tail of the sperm. So sperm has a head, this is the midpiece and a tail. Okay? In the midpiece you have plenty of mitochondria. Plenty of what? Mitochondria. In the head part, you have a very important structure, that is the nucleus in the head. Mitochondria in the midpiece. And this is the tail part. That is like a flagella or cilia, moves like this, bit like this. Okay, so that is the structure of a sperm. And the head part is also called, this part is the head, this part is also called genetic region. Why? Head part has the nucleus, and you know that nucleus has the DNA, right? We already know the genes. Midpiece is also called metabolic. Why? Metabolism mostly occurs inside the mitochondria, okay? And all mitochondria are in this part. That's why it is called metabolic region. And tail part is the locomotion. Locomotion means what? Movement. Make sense? Moves to help to move the swim the. So it's like a baby fish. Have you seen baby fish? Okay. So sperm looks like a baby fish, very early stage of fish. So it can swim. It needs to swim to go, get out from the male body and enter into the female wall. This is the wall of the seminiferous tubule. So you see those things I have already mentioned. Spermatozoa, the mature sperm gets detached from the wall, enters into the lumen. 3 parts I have mentioned here. How the spermatid becomes, the spermatozoa, the mature sperm. You see the nucleus goes to the top. This is the nucleus. Mitochondria, these are mitochondria, lines up. They line up in the midpiece, okay? And the centriole, yeah, that forms the flagellum or tail part, okay? Now, the last thing you need to know is on the head part, this is interesting, the sperm has a cap, okay, on the head. It has what?
A hat.
Cap, hat, yeah, on the head. And this is called acrosome. Acrosome or acrosomal cap. Okay? So, inside the acrosome, you have a fluid. Okay? Just know that this fluid is a digestive type fluid. What happens, it has a name, that fluid, hyaluronidase. This is the egg or ovum. This is the sperm, gets stick to the surface of the egg. This is the acrosome. And what happens after the sperm gets, attached to the surface of the egg or ovum, from the acrosome, that enzyme or fluid is released, and that breaks the wall of the ovum. So this is the ovum. You have the chromosomes here inside, N, and inside the head you have N, right? Remember, sperm has N, egg has N, right? So the acrosome will release that fluid, and that will break the wall, because this is a digestive type fluid, will break the wall, and the sperm will penetrate and will arrive here. And when the sperm enters into the ovum, the chromosomes will be released. The head part will be, will break down, and chromosome will be released. So N and N will make 2N. Okay, that's the fertilized egg. Okay. Now it's very interesting that many sperm at the same time get attached to the wall of the egg or ovum, like this. Many. Egg is only one. Egg is only what? One. Female ovulation produces only one egg, right? Sperm are million. Okay? So many of them, sperm, will penetrate, will enter into the female body and will get attached to the surface of the ovum. Okay? And they will start to do what? Break the wall, right? And will try to enter into the egg. Many of them will do that. Okay? Now, when the first one will arrive here, many others are like, at different levels. They are also trying to get in, right? When one reaches there inside, others will not move further. Okay? Will stop moving and eventually will die. Make sense? If more than one sperm can enter into the egg, that will be a problem, right? We need one sperm and one egg, right? 2N. If 2 sperm enters, how many N will be there? 3, right? 1 is inside and 2 from the sperm, right? If 3 sperm enter, then 4N, right? We don't need that. We need 2N. 1 sperm and 1 egg. Make sense? So that's why when one sperm finally enters into the egg, others will stop moving and will eventually die. Okay? It's like, if I ask you to do 100-meter race run, okay, and you have only one very, very good, prize. You have only one prize. All of you are running, and if you see one person is way, front, ahead of you, then what you will do if you see that person has already reached to the other side? Would you keep running? No, you'll say no point of running, right? Because I know only one prize is there, right? So the sperm will not move others when one reaches there. Okay.
What if they're
Male infertility. One main reason of male infertility is abnormal sperm. Abnormal sperm. Now, what can happen? If you see the sperm under the microscope, you can easily do that, right? You can take and see the semen under the microscope. In many cases, in male infertility, we see that the sperms are not intact. What happens? The head and tail part are not attached. So they are separated. So these sperm are not helpful. Make sense? Some cases we see double-headed sperm. Two heads are attached to each other. So their movement is restricted. They are not good. Sometimes we see one head, two tails. These are also abnormal. Okay? So these are different types of abnormal sperm.
Is it
We
genetic?
find it could be genetic, it could be other reason, like if during the spermatogenesis the temperature inside this scrotum is high, that can also cause the abnormal sperm production. So that's why maintaining the temperature is important. Okay. Another is the chromosomes are good, but if you see the number of chromosomes is low. Okay. That is main cause is high temperature. If the person used to take the sit in bathtub, hot bathtub for a long time, like hour every day, that can cause the decreased production of normal sperm. Okay. So temperature is important for but it could be genetic. Yes. Or radiation, right? Or excessive radiation can also change the shape of the sperm. Some drugs, some medicines, some chemicals can do that. Okay?
That's really funny.